This is an opinion you may not agree with. I will try my hardest to remain objective. I actually don't really have a side on this matter. However, having been a network administrator for an ISP for 3 years, I have enough knowledge to be a devil's advocate for small ISPs. Let me give you a lesson on how small internet service providers work. To save time, I'll explain a WISP company, or Wireless Internet Service Provider, which is where I worked. First off, you have a central office. This is just called the CO. This contains all the servers, if you also provide email under the company's domain name, or if your network is set up in point-to-point protocol over Ether or PPPoE. You probably have a radius server there too. And all the other trinkets you may have there. Most ISPs also do computer repair. And most importantly, it houses the $15,000 Cisco router. This router will shut down any of those gay boy toy Nighthawk routers people have, because it's really powerful. It's designed to provide IPs for the entire network and must remain always on and cooled in a server room to prevent damage or performance drag because of heat-related issues. A wonderful AC build. To prevent explaining too much, I'll skip the rest of what's inside. From the router, you have a shielded Cat6 cable running up to a radio. This radio is the primary access for the entire internal network. There is a huge list of companies that make wireless access radios. One of the most common is Ubiquiti. Your main dish needs to be hefty, so you're going to want to use a $1,000 air fiber rocket. This dish is pointed towards another dish on a tower, and the tower has another dish on it that connects customers to it. Customers use their own equipment that is provided by the ISP. They're usually $50 power beams. Unless they're in heavy interference, a power beam will work just fine. Now that you've established an internal network, you're missing access into the real world. Unless you're Comcast and own the entire world, chances are you don't have millions of dollars worth of fiber optic lines throughout the entire world. So you need what is referred to as a backhaul. For small ISPs, backhauls are big-time ISPs like Comcast, AT&T, Verizon, etc. You purchase the cheapest 1 gigabit fiber line and it goes right into a Cisco router that you have. Moving more into the idea behind a small ISP as opposed to a big ISP is usually customer service, low hold times, local voices, and real people. The internet speeds are usually much slower than a big-time ISP because they don't have petabytes of bandwidth. Like stated above, usually 1 to 2 gigabits of bandwidth are what small ISPs have. It's expensive to add bandwidth, so going with a local company, you're still going through AT&T or some other big ISP. It's that going with a local company, that company deals with AT&T and the other ISPs, not you. Going over the monthly cost of what it is to run one of these ISPs, you have a $1,200 a month cost to put your equipment on a tower. Still talking about WISP companies here. $1,200 plus monthly cost for the backhaul, $500 plus a month for the electrical bill. If you FCC license your frequencies, which most small-time ISPs don't because it's expensive, you're looking at a $2,000 a month for just one site, and most ISPs have dozens of tower sites. That's why 2.4 gigahertz and 5.4 gigahertz and other ranges between the 2 and 5, not getting into DFS and stuff like that, is the most commonly used because it's free to use. On top of this, you have your bi-weekly payroll. If you have about 10 employees, most of them not making minimum wage, especially your GM, systems admin, and wireless manager, you're looking at $20,000 every single 2 weeks, 40 grand a month to keep your employees, 200 plus for domain costs, 1,000 plus in equipment for new customer installs, and also equipment replacement, because shit does break. The only thing you have to survive is customers. Most customers are going to purchase your most optimal package, which is usually $69.95 for 6 to 8 megabits download and 1 to 2 megabits upload, which that package is actually perfect for normal use. The only ones that complain the most about that internet speed is gamers and live streamers. Be honest, you don't need 50 megabits for Netflix streaming. Keep in mind that there's a lot more costs, but I want this video to be as quick as I could possibly make it. If you have 500 to 1,000 customers, you're making a very tiny profit. Small ISPs are not profit machines, but over time with good service, not just good customer service, but the delivery and availability too. I'd rather have an ISP that keeps me online 99.9% of the time over some shit fest that drops out all the time. Be prepared to be triggered. I think the repeal of net neutrality can actually be very effective. for growing small ISPs. For one, most small ISPs will always find ways to optimize their bandwidth and get the most out of it. Small ISPs will allow you to pay more, which only guarantees the bandwidth that you're originally paying for. Businesses usually do this. When you purchase internet speeds, it's always up to, it's never guaranteed. That's because there's a lot of factors that can happen that cause your internet speed to slow down, not related towards what you're doing on the internet at your house. For example, interference. We're dealing with radio frequency, and especially torrent downloading. Those two are the biggest ones. Downloading on its own, which is file downloading or even Netflix, YouTube streaming, causes loads on the network. This is why sometimes your internet is incredibly slow. Switching over to modern broadband, you have a main fiber line that goes through a neighborhood. It branches off into coax cables into customers' houses. You may have your own coax line into your house, but you're still sharing the same fiber line as everyone else. Fiber optic is the best technology as of today in delivering data, and it is very effective with load, and still, there is so much data going through them 24/7 that not even it can handle it to perfection. Now imagine this through older technology like DSL telephone lines and old wireless radios. The congestion is massive. It is 10 times worse on those than it is through fiber lines. This is where the main argument is. I believe an ISP should be able to do whatever they want with their internet because it's exactly that. It's their internet, not yours. You pay monthly to access the internet using their equipment. If you don't like that, you can move to a different company. Even though Comcast says they won't charge more for going to certain websites, they're probably blowing smoke up everyone's ass. The companies that will probably not do this are small ISPs. Nobody wants to be charged extra for Netflix streaming, and small ISPs cannot afford to lose customers. If Comcast starts charging for certain data, just switch to a local company. If people do this, the increased revenue will go to upgrading equipment and increasing speed packages because ISPs can now afford bandwidth and get better technology. The United States would be a lot better if there were more ISPs that can compete with each other. I would like to see more big-time ISPs other than Comcast, AT&T, Verizon, Time Warner Cable. Don't look at this as if it's the end of the world and start crying at the night sky. If it plays out right, we may see innovation and other things that come from competition. ISPs may now be able to start gypping us, but they still rely on us, the customer, to stay afloat. I hope this helped somebody. At least just someone, I guess that works. If you disagree with what I said, at least you now have some knowledge on how an ISP works and what it is ISPs go through every day. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.
Music cut to you. Gotta leave them